Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Pauline Verzosa. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin reaffirmed America's commitment to the security of the Philippines. He said this during his visit to Palawan with Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro. Now, our defense chief reiterated the need for the U.S.'s presence in the region amid the escalating tension between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. Austin also downplayed worries regarding the two countries' relationship once U.S. President-elect Donald Trump takes the White House.
I won't speculate on what the next administration will do. What I can tell you is what I know. And what I know is that I've seen strong support for the Philippines in both parties in the United States.
China expressed strong opposition against the signing of the military intelligence sharing agreement between the Philippines and the United States. In a statement, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Li Jian said no military deal should harm any third party and cause more tension in the region. He also emphasized that the right choice for keeping regional peace and stability is to remain independent from any influence of other countries. In response, Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro said China was just being paranoid about the deal. He stated that no country should interfere in a deal between two allied countries.
If you weren't paranoid, you wouldn't comment about it, so far as I'm concerned, because it is something bilateral to the United States and the Philippines. Our main theme of cooperation here, aside from being treaty allies, stands for upholding of international law and the fundamental and the values of freedom and democracy.
President Bongbong Marcos says he plans to see U.S. President-elect Donald Trump following their phone call. Gia Robles with that report.
It was a very good call. It was a very friendly call.
This was how President Bongbong Marcos described his first phone conversation with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Marcos said they spoke as scheduled early today, and their conversation focused on the alliance between the Philippines and the United States.
Patuloy namin pinag-usapan ang samahan, the alliance between the United States and the Philippines, and I expressed to him our continuing desire to strengthen that relationship between our two countries, which is a relationship that is as deep as can possibly be, because it has been for a very long time.
Marcos said he also reminded Trump that the majority of the Filipinos in the U.S. voted for him, expressing hope that the new U.S. president will remember it. This, of course, led to the question around what will happen to illegal Filipino immigrants currently in the United States, to which Marcos replied.
We didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about it. It was just a congratulatory call. But, of course, our ambassador is already working on that.
Nonetheless, Marcos said his conversation with Trump was very productive.
I'm glad that I was able to do it, and I think the President-elect Trump was also happy to hear from the Philippines.
Marcos said Trump also asked about his mother, former First Lady Imelda Marcos.
Naaalala naman niya ang Pilipinas. Ang kaibigan niya talaga, mother ko. Kilalang niya yung mother ko. Kinukumusta niya how is Imelda? Sabi ko, binabati ka nga.
President Marcos said he also expressed his intent to meet with Trump as soon as possible. For News 5, Gio Robles, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after this break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Let's now take a quick look at today's other headlines. In the Philippine Star, expect cooler temperatures and dry air as Pagasa declared the onset of the northeast monsoon or Amihan yesterday. The Weather Bureau says the northeasterly wind flow is expected to be more dominant in most of the country, bringing cold and dry air. And in business world, the Philippine Central Bank's easing cycle is still underway, though it may opt to keep rates steady at its December meeting. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Governor Eli Remolona Jr. says the central bank will continue to make rate cuts in 25 basis point increments. Philippine Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez says the interests of the Philippines and the U.S. align with the Indo-Pacific region, particularly concerning the West Philippine Sea. Here's an excerpt from his interview on The Big Story.
What would it look like in terms of their commitments to EDCA, for instance, the EDCA sites, and then now also with this new intelligence sharing pact between Washington and Manila?
Well, as Secretary Austin said, and I'm hearing the same thing from the Trump people, that all these commitments are going to be in place. Of course, the policies can vary and a few changes here and there, but at the end of the day, the interests of the United States and our interests are aligned right now as far as the Indo-Pacific region is concerned, specifically in the West Philippine Sea or the South China Sea. The most important real mutual interest is the fact that we, including the United States, do not want to have one country to say that they own and could control an entire area because trillions of dollars pass through the South China Sea. At the end of the day, it's all the bottom line is the economy or the economic prosperity of countries, and obviously the United States. That's why they have a continuing freedom of navigation operations that continue there in our area, precisely to keep the area free from any influence or control of other countries.
Speaking of economic prosperity, President-elect Trump is, of course, famously transactional, and there's still a question of whether or not a U.S.-Philippines free trade agreement will ever come to pass. That's been in the works for a number of years now. Obviously, I'm sure you know about it. But what do you think? Is it dead in the water, or there's still hope?
Well, I think the free trade agreement is, there's an aspiration on our part, but quite honestly, there's a lot of other agreements that we can come out with, I'm pretty sure that we will be able to find something that will be acceptable to the new administration of President Trump. But let me just point out that our policy now really is for us to be able to become economically prosperous, and we're talking to a lot of other countries, not only the United States. And the simple thing here is this: this is what I tell our friends even here in the U.S. Congress, our friends in Republican parties, the Republican Party and Democrats as well, that we want to be economically strong so that we will have the resources to be able to come up to par and be able to buy the kind of equipment, the kind of wherewithal for our armed forces so that we can be a real partner. This, I think, reverberated very well with many Republicans, and one of them even told me that will be very good because President Trump likes that kind, that everyone has to put up their share in being able to defend. In other words, it's a mutual defense treaty, or it's mutually beneficial for both of us. And I think that that's probably the way we will go on that path as far as having these economic ties with the United States.
In the PBL, the Zeus Coffee Thunderbells has finally ended its 20-game drought and experienced its first franchise win. The Thunderbells beat the next-led Chameleons after 4 sets yesterday at the Inares Center. The Chameleons tried to trigger a 5th set, but Gail Pascual fired a 3-0 run to seal the Thunderbells' win. Jovi Gonzaga led Zeus Coffee with 23 points, built on 20 attacks and 3 blocks. And after this match, the PLDT high-speed hitters nabbed its second straight win. They beat the Gallery's High Risers in 3 sets. A star spiker, Savvy Davison, led the team with 28 points, built on 26 attacks. And in the UAAP, the UE Red Warriors will shoot its shot for the last semi spot in the men's basketball tournament. UE is set to face the UP Fighting Maroons later at 5:30 p.m. The Red Warriors are eyeing to end its 15-year drought of being out of the Final Four. Now, if they win, they would eliminate the Adamson Soaring Falcons' chance to get the last Final Four slot. So far, the De La Salle Green Archers, the UP Fighting Maroons, and the USC Growling Tigers have booked their tickets to the semis. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Pauline Berzosa. We are One News.